never been told that money's not important from a rich person. And my friend Blake said to me, hey bro, why don't you try out for The Apprentice? And I said, what's The Apprentice? He said, it's a TV show where an old man yells at you.
You are going to be my business partner.
As the person that wins, what's the next step?
I used Alan Sugar like my granddad. I only wanted to go to him when I did something good, but the lawsuit got so bad. So I rang him and I said, Lord Sugar, we're getting sued from the biggest company in our sector. What do I do? He goes, step one, ring their switchboard. 2, tell them it's Mark Wright from Climb Online and you're suing me. Number 3, tell them, fuck off. People always like, you always seem happy, you always seem motivated. Why? I have goals.
Was there a day that you would consider one of the hardest days? How did you deal with it?
I did something that I don't talk about often.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Success School podcast. I just want to say thank you so much for being here and taking time to listen to the show today. And I also just want to make sure you are aware that my whole mission with this podcast is to be able to give people access to conversations that are going to enlighten, they're going to inspire, and they're going to give you the information needed to genuinely start to live a happier, a healthier, and a more fulfilling life. But here's the thing, I am just one man. It's pretty much a one-man band project. So that's really, really hard to get a lot of people to be positively impacted when I'm doing this alone. So I'm just going to ask a little favor. And I know you're probably sick of hearing this. You probably hear it on every podcast you listen to. But please, if you genuinely do think this podcast is valuable and can help people, if you could just take a second to hit that subscribe button and maybe go on further, tell other people about it, share it on your Insta stories, anything you can do to help bring more awareness to the show would be greatly appreciated. A lot of the podcasts you listen to, they have huge teams of people. They usually spend thousands, if not millions of pounds on making it the best show that it can be. And I just don't have access to that. So I really do rely on you guys to support the show. And as I always say, if you would be willing to help me help other people start to help themselves, then between us, we can have that positive ripple effect to genuinely, hopefully do some good in the world. So I just want to say thank you in advance. I'd really appreciate it if you will do that. Thanks for being here, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. All right, a massive welcome, Mark. Absolutely over the moon that you're here. Really, really excited to have this conversation. Just before we dive in, for anybody who's not familiar with you, would you be able to just introduce yourself, let everybody know a little bit about who you are and what exactly it is that you do?
Oh, me, sorry.
Yeah, Mark, yeah, you. Let's start. I mean, I could tell everyone about me, but they're sick of hearing it. I do it every week.
Right, there you go. It tells you how often I have to introduce myself. That was always my goal when I started in business. You've got to get so well known for doing what you do that you no longer need to introduce myself. So I'm fuming that I even have to do this. But
I've absolutely trashed your goal, haven't I? You was winning until tonight.
So that's all of our goals as entrepreneurs. If Elon Musk was here, I bet you wouldn't have asked that bloody question. Guys, it's lovely to see you. My name is Mark Wright, and for those of you that have logged on to see the guy from The Only Way is Essex, I'm so sorry to disappoint you this evening. You're stuck with me for the next hour. I am known for being the business Mark Wright. I came over here in 2012 from Australia, as you can hear from my accent, a country that's much better than this one at rugby and cricket. And I got famous for winning the TV show The Apprentice. If you've ever seen that show, it's basically where Lord Sugar gets a load of strangers in a house, and it's like Big Brother with business tasks. And I was on it when it was really popular and really good and more about the business. Don't tell anyone. And I was on series 10 of that show, which 75,000 people tried out for. I was one of 20 that went into the house, and I was the winner of that show. Since winning that show, I partnered with Lord Sugar for the past 8.5 years. We founded the biggest growing digital marketing company in the UK called Climb Online. The dividends from that company allowed me to buy a PR agency called Make More Noise, start a property company, start an investment company, and buy 5 other businesses around the UK. And I was the first apprentice winner to sell their business as well. Lord Sugar and I exited Climb Online in the biggest sale, the first and the biggest sale from the winners of The Apprentice, which made me a very wealthy man, which was the goal when I started out, and I realized shouldn't have been the goal at all, because I started in business to make money and realized that that was just easy. The goal needs to be something bigger than that, and I'm sure we'll get into the details of how that all works after. And now my purpose really is to help other business people. I come on and do talks like this, do speaking, podcasts, whatever, because my friend Grant Cardone let me on his jet, and I was the first one to go with his family on his new jet. And he said to me, every successful entrepreneur owes it to get successful and then help other people up the ladder to become successful themselves. And that really is my new purpose now and why I'm here this evening. So thanks for having me.
Mark, that's why I got you to introduce yourself, because that was, now I know everybody that's listening now is like, oh my God, like I'm listening with clear intent and focus. Mark, if we can we just go back to, you mentioned there winning The Apprentice.
Yes.
Would you just share the story? Where did the idea even come from, and why did you apply for The Apprentice in the first place? What were you hoping to get from it?
Yeah, no worries. I'd love to answer that. And before I do that, do you know what the fundamental mistake people make at networking at events? When they get 30 seconds to speak, they try and sell their business and their services. You never buy anything in 30 seconds from something, but you'll buy someone. Your job in that 30 seconds when you introduce yourself is to make you sound fucking amazing. The better you make yourself sound, Richard Branson understands this, Alan Sugar understands this, Elon Musk understands this. The more you make yourself the brand, the more quickly people will buy from you. So why did I start out on The Apprentice? Well, like most entrepreneurs, I was working in a massive company or a company, somebody else's company. And I knew I could do it better than my boss. I was working in a company with 500 people, and I really disagreed with the way they treated their staff. I really disagreed with the way they treated their customers, and I knew I could do it better, but I had no money. When I moved to the UK, I had 170 pounds, and I was living in a hostel in Victoria in London. So I went to 5 banks and I tried to get a bank loan for £25,000 to start my company, but because I was from Australia, they wouldn't give me the money. So my friend Blake said to me, hey, bro, why don't you try out for The Apprentice? And I said, what's The Apprentice? He said, it's a TV show where an old man yells at you. And I said, right, I've never heard of it. I hadn't heard of Alan Sugar, hadn't heard of The Apprentice. And my friend and Blake and I went down to Tottenham Court Road in 2014, and we tried out for Series 10 of The Apprentice with 75,000 other people. And what led me to that show was, you need 2 things really to start a business. You need money with capital to get things going, whether that's a premises, staff, whatever it is. And I believe the fundamental thing is mentoring. Someone who can been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt and can guide you. 95% of businesses fail over the first 5 years, and it's generally because of lack of those 2 things. They have no direction, money, and mentoring, and their business fails. They run out of willpower. Most entrepreneurs fail because they do too much themselves. They don't let other people in. They keep 100% of the shares in their business. They don't have a mentor because they don't want to share their idea. And they don't have any money because they don't want to take risks. And then they get 3 or 4 or 5 years into the journey and realize they don't have a business. They're sitting in their desk, in their room, thinking they're a business person, but they didn't let people in on that journey. And you must have money, you must have mentoring, and you must be a specialist in the area or the field that you're proposing to go into. So yeah, 2014 went on to Series 10, and The Apprentice really is one of many things I've done in my career. But the thing I still have to take 50 selfies a day for 8 years later, I didn't realize how powerful that show was. I think it had an average of 8.1 million viewers an episode. And what was really fascinating, and coming back to what I led into this story with about being well known or promoting yourself, not your product. Before, when I was working at the advertising agency, I used to ring a carpet shop and ask them for a meeting, and they'd say no. I went on to The Apprentice, and all of a sudden, I got 7,000 leads on the first day I opened my agency. And some of the companies I signed up include Emirates, Made.com, international, global. TikTok was one of my clients, international clients. And I still knew the same things I knew before I went on the show. The only thing had changed was the amount of eyeballs that had seen me. And it showed me the power of personal branding and attention to make your business successful.
It just really makes that point, doesn't it? As you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, it's pointless. And I think that's what, shows like that can give you that platform that just exploded. Not to mention the power of having Lord Alan Sugar on your team, right?
Well, yeah. So my friend Grant always says, Starbucks do not make the best coffee. McDonald's do not make the best hamburger, but they sell a lot more hamburgers than anyone else and a lot more coffees than anyone else because they're the most well-known. And you need attention in your business, whatever it is. And the reason I'm on here at 7:00 at night doing a podcast is there's now 17 more people plus whoever listens to this that know who I am, what my businesses are, and what I'm doing. Gives me a chance to craft my speaking skills, craft my communication skills, and inform more people about my business. And I've been on these and spoken to one person that signed up to my company for over 11 million pounds. One customer can change your business. So you never know who that next connection is. So getting yourself out there, starting a podcast, writing a book, learning to speak on stage, these are fundamental things for every business owner. It doesn't matter, I'm behind the scenes, I'm not that sort of person. If you're not that sort of person, you're not going to be a successful business person. You need to become the person to become successful, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. What I love about you is you was relatively young, really, when you did The Apprentice, and obviously you went on to win it and have all this success in business. What was that like for you at that young age, and where did that come from? Were you always driven? Were you always destined to be that sort of person that comes out on top? Was that there in your childhood?
It was crazy. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a business person. I wanted to be rich and I wanted to be a business person. That was my driving factors when I was a young kid. You just want
Where did that come from? Like, where did that idea come into your mind? Was it from what you had as a family or what you saw online, or where was that?
Well, everything we are is because of our parents, our upbringing and our environment, isn't it? We all know that. And both my parents own and ran small businesses. So when I was sitting at the dinner table at night, the conversation was one of no one in my family's ever been to university. No one has a degree. Not saying that's right or wrong. I was sitting at the dinner table and the conversations were, these staff didn't turn up today. These people want a pay rise. How are we going to pay the rent? This is what the wages are. We need this new computer system. And what I felt growing up was a lot of stress. Both my parents ran small businesses and they were always so stressed. And that's why I refuse to run small businesses, because I think it's more stressful than running a big one. And that's why I refuse to do small deals, because let me tell you, I've bought small properties and big properties. I've run small businesses and ran big ones. And it's the same paperwork, it's the same problems, but you just get paid more on the bigger deals. So if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do the bigger deals. Because when I bought a property for 5 million, it was the same paperwork for 500,000. So why don't, and you can only go bankrupt once. You can go bankrupt from £10 or bankrupt from 10 million. They don't care. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go big. But let me tell you, it's just as easy on the bigger stuff. So you might as well, if you're going to be thinking, think big. If you're going to do deals, do big deals, because the chance of success is higher, the rewards are better, and it's the same, if not easier, than doing it small. But to answer your question, Matt, it was my parents, the stress they suffered, the agony of running their businesses. My dad worked 7 days and we didn't get to sit at home. We sat in his business, help answering the phones, dealing with customers. So I think I grew up quick, and I grew up with that sharp business knowledge that you needed to survive on The Apprentice. But The Apprentice is unfairly weighted towards salespeople. There's brilliant people that go on The Apprentice that don't do well because they can't sell. I can sell, so I had an unfair advantage of winning that show. And I did something that I don't talk about often, but I'll let you guys in on the secret. I do a theory in business called braining it out. My theory is that most things in business have been done and done successfully before. So if you can find the blueprint or the model to how it's been done before, you just copy it, right? It's like success, money, and business is a recipe. All you do is find someone that's got that success, why having a mentor is so important. Get the recipe, follow the recipe, get the same result. So when I got on to The Apprentice, I'd never seen it before. I went home, went on Wikipedia, and I looked at all of the previous winners from the past 9 years. I then watched all of the series back and watched patterns in how the winners had won the show previously. For example, don't be project manager in week 1. Statistically, you have a 75% chance of being fired. So I just didn't be project manager in week 1. Don't put yourself for this, do this, do this, do this. And what I realized is it was easy just following that process, but also there was another trick. Human nature is fascinating. Humans will always find a leader when they're put into a new pack by just underlying human nature. So when I got into the house, I had to make myself the leader really quickly. And Alan Sugar understands this. So if you watch in the boardroom, he never asks a specific person a question. He'll never say, Mark, what do you think about this? He asks the group and sees who the group looks to answer it. And I picked up on that, and I understood that he realized he's not with us 24 hours a day, that the teams would find who is the best at business. And he was looking to pick up on those little bits. So I played the game, which is designed to be a game, played the system and did pretty well.
As the person that wins, what is that process like from the minute you win? What happens next, basically? When the show ends, what's the next step?
Well, I was intrigued to know that because the filming took ages, and you have to sacrifice a lot to do the filming. I had to quit my job. I had to give up to my flat. So, and the pay was 1,500 quid. And they call it expenses. You're not paid a salary, you're paid expenses. So I gave up my job and my flat for 6 months for £1,500. Huge commitment. Did all the filming, did all of that stuff. He says, you're going to be my business partner, off you go. And we left. And I was like, well, I don't know now what happens. You know, what's the next phase? So the next day he WhatsApped me, Alan Sugar, and he said, can you come round to my flat and we'll talk about getting this business going. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Alan Sugar's WhatsApping me. He texted me the location of his flat. I went round there. It was a Sunday afternoon. I had a 3-piece suit on, you know, waistcoat, tie, the whole thing. I looked like I'd just come out of the boardroom. And I went to his flat, which isn't a flat. It's the poshest hotel in London. Went into this hotel. The concierge put me in a lift that opens up in this just massive, like, penthouse flat in this hotel in London. And I remember at this time I'm broke, and I'd been living in a house with 11 other Australians. I was like Harry Potter, living in a room where like the door would hit the thing as you sort of went into the room. It was crazy. And I'm like in this multi-billionaire's luxury flat as the Apprentice winner that hasn't gone out on TV. It was like I was like Alice in Wonderland. I was on some weird sort of psychedelic trip or something. And I didn't know what to say to him because I'd never met him one-on-one. I'd only seen him in the boardroom when we were filming. I'd never actually been one-on-one with him, but he picked me as the winner. And I said to him, it was just him and I in the room, and we were just in this big-ass room, just me and him. And I said, Lord Sugar, thank you so much for the opportunity. Here's my CV. I don't know why I did that. I gave him my CV, and he didn't say a word. He just took my CV and slowly flicked through it, then ripped it up in front of me and threw it on the floor. And he said, Mark, I don't care how far you can throw a fucking boomerang. Let's do business. And that was the start of a crazy journey, because you think by watching The Apprentice, he's pretty tough. He comes across pretty tough on The Apprentice. He is, I want to say, 10 to 100 times tougher in real life. And out of 15 Apprentice winners, when I sold the business the end of last year, November last year, I was one of 4 left. If you think he gets rid of the candidates quick on there, he gets rid of business associates twice as quickly. and he's only got time for success and serious people. And it was baptism by fire. I mean, the board meetings I had with him have scarred me and made me the business person I am today, but they are not for the faint-hearted. They are, I mean, particularly in the world that we live in now, where you can't say anything without being cancelled, you wouldn't survive, I'm saying, 30 seconds in his boardroom in real life. I mean, if anyone ever recorded it, it would be bad for all of us. But it's actually how business is done. It's not this cuddly, furry environment where everyone's just so charming. It's rugged, and the tougher you are, the more successful you will get. And how that has been lost, I have no idea, but it has been lost. And thank God, because I'm going to do even better. As the softer everyone gets, more resilient and more tough you can get, the better you will do. And if you leave this with only that message, I've really helped your business.
Great. And that's such a great thing, isn't it? The world does very clearly seem to be getting softer and softer and softer. And I think that's a really great way of looking at it. You just keep getting tougher. There's less competition. There's more chance of success. Now, being connected in that way to obviously a very well-connected, very famous billionaire, what would you say are some of the key things you've learned? And I'm looking for what's maybe some of the less obvious things that maybe you don't talk about on podcasts and stuff, that are the small things where you go, that's something I've picked up from him, or do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. What could you share?
Well, that's a really good question. And everyone thinks that when you start working with someone like Alan Sugar, and I've been very lucky in my career to work with some of the best business people around the world, and everyone assumes that when you walk into their boardroom on day one, they sprinkle you with some sort of entrepreneur dust, and you now know how to make billions and do this sort of stuff. And there's no entrepreneur dust, but it's fascinating what you pick up on. Birds of a feather flock together. If you hang around with really successful people, you will become successful. There is just a matter of time between that success happening. If you hang out with losers, you will become a loser. And just sitting in the boardroom was the most valuable. Sitting in his office was where I got most of the valuable teachings, and they weren't always by him. It was just being around, seeing deals be done for 30, 40, 50 million pounds, when at that time I had no money and couldn't afford a collared shirt from M&S. So I was hearing and seeing how they conducted themselves, how they negotiated big deals, how they spoke to people, how ruthless they were. And it was like a sponge, because I was sort of just watching these guys operate, and it was at a level I'd never seen before. So that was the first thing, just picking up on the way they dressed, their body language, the way they negotiated. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And when now I see myself in deals negotiating the same way, because I picked up the habits of prior successful people. But a lot of the things are really simple. And the first one we've already spoken about. On my third day, Lord Sugar's main advisor pulled me in and he said, business is a ruthless game. It is a ruthless game, and no one understands that. He said, if you have a rhinoceros skin and get tough fast, you will go very far. But if you let people walk all over you, we're not going to go far. And I'll give you an example. On my second month, first month, our turnover was nothing. We lost £3,000. Second month turnover was £12,000. And we got sued by the biggest company in our sector. Their turnover was 683 million. And our turnover was 12,000. And I used Alan Sugar like my granddad. I only wanted to go to him when I did something good, so he could say, yeah, well done, good boy, off you go again. I didn't want to take him bad news, but the lawsuit got so bad it was going to bankrupt my company and send it under. So I knew I had to tell him, because he was a 50% shareholder in the company. So I rang him and I said, Lord Sugar, we're getting sued from the biggest company in our sector. What do I do? And he said, that's good news. I said, no, sorry. I said, we're getting sued. He said, why is there no drinks in the fridge with Coca-Cola? I said, I have no idea. I've never thought about that. He said, when your business starts to become successful and you become a successful entrepreneur, people will either sue you out of existence or buy you out of existence. And we're having the suing first. So let's get it out of the way. he said, here's what you do. So I got my pen and paper and I was like, right. He goes, step 1, ring their switchboard. And I'm like, ring switchboard. 2, tell them it's Mark Wright from Climb Online and you're suing me. Yep. Number 3, tell them, fuck off. And I stopped taking notes at that point. And he said, because in business, you get one chance to make a reputation. And this is our first lawsuit. And if people realize that they can come and sue us out of existence, bully us with bully tactics and push us around, we don't stand a chance. And you've got to, in these moments, fight for your business, fight for your reputation. And that's what we did. So that was really lesson number 1, very, very quickly, is what goes on at the top level is pretty ruthless stuff. And you need to, be pretty thick-skinned. The other thing was just watching his work ethic and the people around his work ethic. He starts work at 6:30 every morning on the dot, and he works till 5:30 every day. But what was another thing which was interesting is he doesn't work weekends. He turns his laptop off at 5:30 Friday, and he doesn't switch it back on till 9 a.m. Monday. And he's always done that. So what I found in him, and this is what my mentoring is so important, because I grew up and I was just in that first Instagram eras of the guys standing on the Lambos out the sides of the private jets, telling you need to work 120-hour weeks to be successful. It's not true. You need to have good people around you. You need to have good balance in your life. And you need to be healthy and resilient to last whatever is going to be thrown at you by your business. And that's what I saw. I saw real billionaires and the way they conducted it, the way they run their diary, set their goals. They have mentors and coaches. It was fascinating to see in real life, because you see these people on Instagram and the stuff that they're saying couldn't be further from the truth. And I'm watching real people, and it was amazing. I wish everyone and you guys could have saw what my eyes saw at different points of the journey.
Now, most of you that listen to this show every week are also already members of our incredible membership, so you don't need me to tell you how amazing that it is. If you're not a member, I'm not going to list everything that you get, because it's completely free to join anyway. So all I would say is click the link in our show notes, head on over, start your membership, and you will find out for yourself. But simply put, the membership is this. It is there to give you the guidance, the support, the accountability, the community, and the information that is there if you actually want to start to become a person who achieves what it is you say you want to achieve. If you want to become that high performance action taker, that person that is a go-getter, that has got the support to start making change in every single area of your life, that's what the membership does. That is what we are there to do. And I can tell you now that if you take action, if you sign up, and if you commit to consistently engaging with the membership, I can almost 100% guarantee you that it will positively impact every single area of your life. But I can't do that for you. You are the missing link. You need to click that link. You need to sign up. You need to join us, and you need to get involved. If you do, the results will come. The question is, will you do it? I don't know, but I really hope so. And if you do, I'll be excited to welcome you into the community. This is music to my ears. I love this because, first and foremost, that's a great way to expose who the fakes are. You know, if they've got a Gucci handbag and Lamborghini and all that, and they're saying hustle 24 hours a day, probably skint. But also, I think it's great that you mentioned there about balance, about switching off, because again, it's something you just don't hear often across social media. With that in mind, what's your go-to thing? Do you have like non-negotiables, things for your health, things for your mindset, things for you to have balance? And also, let's throw it in there as well, recently become a dad. So congratulations for that. I mean, I'm imagining all the non-negotiables are out of the window now. It's just do what you have to do on no sleep. But with that, a sort of second question is, what's changed since becoming a dad?
Okay, so the first thing is, again, if you look at Instagram and TikTok, you've got to wake up at 4:33 and you've got to do 2 backflips out of bed, have half a green juice. You've got to watch the sun rise, and then you need to recite some meditation. And it's just I think it's hilarious. I mean, me and my rich friends, we send it to each other and laugh. It's like, oh, these guys are at it again. Real successful people are not doing that stuff. They're getting up, they're doing a piss, and then they're going and doing whatever they need to do for their day. And that's the truth of it. Whatever makes you happy in your routine, you should do that. If getting up and going to the gym is what makes you happy to start your day and then you go and work, that's your success plan. My success plan wouldn't work for you. Your success plan wouldn't work for me. My non-negotiables and yours are completely different. And it's when you start to try and be other people and do their BS that you start really becoming unhappy, and then you are unmotivated, and then you don't achieve anything. Yeah. So my goal is always, what do I need to do? What are successful people doing to create success? What makes me happy and what works within my system? And I combine those two things and it works really well. So for me, I can't train in the morning because otherwise I get headaches. So I train in the evening. I meditate. I do meditate for 15 minutes before I go to bed. And I love Coca-Cola. That is like my Achilles heel. So I build in having Coca-Cola into my week because those things really make me happy. And you're never going to get between me and Nando's, because for me, I might as well not be alive if I can't have Nando's. So it's just what makes me happy. I build it into my week and it keeps me, people always like, you always seem happy, you always seem motivated and all of this stuff. Why? I have goals and I write those goals down, and I have goals all around me, all around my office, in my wallet, written down, and I review them regularly. Only 15% of human adults have written goals, and they're responsible for 85% of the wealth. That's friggin' crazy. Imagine getting on a boat can you walk up to the captain and you say, where are we going? Where's this ship headed to? And he says, do you know what? I'm just going to just dart out into the sea here and we'll just see what happens. You'd be getting off that boat. But yet we still run our lives and our businesses without knowing where we're headed, which is craziness to me. So I know where I'm going. I build in things to my week that make me happy, and I'm disciplined with those. And I don't flex just because I saw some BS, some guy standing on a Lambo telling me I need to, do some shit. I just do what makes Mark happy, and guess what? It keeps Mark happy. Since having a child, that's an interesting intervention because there is someone introduced who doesn't care about my schedule. He needs 24 hours attention and care, and isn't one of my employees that has to listen to me. My little fella does what he wants, thank God, and he's brilliant. But I have an amazing partner, and what I did well was pick my partner well. Tip number one. And tip number two is have discussions with her about what we both want to achieve during the week. And I know this sounds really businessy, but I made it businessy because that's what I know. I said to her, being a successful businessman is really important to me. I need to do these things during the week, and I'll be able to provide for this family and do X, Y, Z. And she able to do her thing. So we just communicated really well, and we're working on it constantly. He's only very brand new, so he's in the background, and I said no crying while I'm doing this podcast here. But it's great because it's given me a lot more purpose and a lot more drive. And a lot of people think having kids takes your chances of success away from business, and I think it's 10x mine. I'm able to be more successful and have more drive and purpose because of my kids.
Absolutely brilliant. I love that as well. I think just what you were saying prior to the point about fatherhood, I think that takes a lot of self-awareness to really, because again, and I really relate, a lot of people know my journey, and I was mentored by one of those Lamborghini kings, where it's all a facade and it's all bullshit. And it was, and I just want to, briefly touch on this, because if you're seeing somebody or getting mentored by somebody who's trying to make you a carbon copy of them, it's never going to be sustainable. Even if, like I did, you get a short-term win in 18 months or whatever, and you achieve something, if it's not being true to who you are, then it's never going to be something you can repeat, because you're putting on an act effectively. And I think that requires a lot of self-awareness, to recognize when, you know, somebody's manipulating you like that or trying to take you down a certain path, but B, to actually know what does make you happy in a way that adds value to business and isn't to the detriment, i.e. we could all just pig out and eat pizza and shit like that. How do you find that balance? How do you know what's attributes to it and obviously the things that would pull you away?
I get it wrong a lot.
Okay, yeah, trial and error.
Trial and error. And, you know, I shouldn't be too harsh on the Lamborghini standing pretend billionaires that have micro accounts at company's house. They got me started. When I was first working in another company and I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be successful, I felt like I could do it, but I just didn't know how to do it. I went to one of those seminars. I went out there, I sat in the back of the room and I listened to one of these, like, you know, I'm super successful. And to be fair, it was a load of garbage, but it kind of got me going. And it's why I do this speaking and the stuff that I do now on things like podcasts and stuff, because I kind of feel if there's real people like myself and Matt and co that aren't out there speaking, they're the people, that's the alternative. So I owe it to myself and to you guys to come and actually say, you don't have to drink 3 green juices when you get up. Just, you know, do what makes you happy. Your business, and also your business might suck. And I'll tell you, your business sucks if it sucks. And these millionaire people won't, well, so I shouldn't call them millionaires because they're certainly not. These pretend get rich quick people won't tell you your business sucks because they want you to buy something from them. I don't need any money. I don't certainly need your money. I've got no book. I have no courses. I have nothing you can buy from me. I've sold my company. So even if you want to give me money, you can't. So I have no dog in the fight. So that means my advice is only to help me and to help you. There's nothing I can gain from that. So if your business sucks or you've been told wrong things, I'll tell you, it will hurt you. You may not like me, but actually you'll become a better person. And so will I from that exchange.
Guys, I've got a question to ask. If you are listening to this podcast right now, and you haven't yet purchased a ticket for our live in-person event, what on earth are you doing? You need to stop listening. You need to go purchase your ticket, and you need to make your way to Bradford on Saturday, the 6th of January, to get yourself in the room. No excuses. I don't care if it's your day of your wedding. Cancel your wedding. You can postpone it. It's not as important as this. If you were at the first event that we did in Manchester, you will know just how powerful it is to get into a room full of people who are like-minded, to engage in the great content, to meet the guest speakers, and to bloody well meet me. Like, what more do you need? All jokes aside, I seriously think out of everything I've ever done, putting on these events is the thing I enjoy the most. I think it is the most powerful and impactful, and it has the potential to genuinely change your life. It has the potential to help you connect with some great people that could become lifelong friends. There's just so many benefits. What I've done is I've put the link to get tickets in the show notes of this episode. So just head over there if you want to get a ticket. There's going to be some great speakers. We're also going to be doing some group breath work. We're going to be doing some group coaching where I'll be there coaching you guys on the day. We'll be talking about some stuff that's genuinely going to get you thinking about what you want out of your life and what you need to be doing to take the steps to make those changes. You're also going to be invited to do some cold water therapy. It's not compulsory. There's just going to be the opportunity if you want to do it. I certainly will be doing it. So if you want to get in an ice bath with me, that will be available to you. We're also going to be having some really healthy, nutritious foods available to eat on the day. It's just going to be such a positive day. The way that I'm sort of marketing it is like a little mini retreat in Bradford. Who knew? Who knew you could do that in winter in Bradford? It's happening, like I say, on the Saturday the 6th. It's going to be in the day, and I would love to see you there. Click the link to get your ticket. Drop me a message. You can either email me at successschoolgroup@gmail.com or DM me on the various social media handles if you've any questions. But do get your tickets fast, because I'm not just saying this is a marketing thing. I am very, very pleased to see they are selling very, very quickly. So don't procrastinate. Take action, and I'll see you there. Love it. So moving on to one of the things that, you know, was your main and is your main businesses, I guess, which is the Climb Online Digital Marketing Agency. With regards then, you just said, you would tell people if they suck and their business sucks and stuff like that. When it comes to digital marketing, when it comes to social media and some of the companies you've worked with, perhaps, what are some of the key things that are mistakes you see people making, and what's some of the main advice for anybody who's got a business now? And I know it's quite a generalized question, but just generally speaking, what's some of the rules people need to follow if they want to successfully market what they do?
Well, the first thing is most people don't spend enough money on marketing. And they get a £75 voucher from Google for Google Ads and run it and then say that they've tried marketing and it didn't work. And it's like, right, you haven't tried marketing, and it really does work. The average successful company in the UK spends on average 11% of their turnover on marketing. 11%. I go and mentor business owners and I say, the economy's really shit. We have no sales and we have no leads. Well, how much you're spending on marketing? Oh, nothing. We don't do marketing. Oh, show me where the salespeople are. We don't have any salespeople. This is starting to make sense now. You're an idiot. You've got to spend money on marketing. You've got to have I've never met a business that doesn't need salespeople. I've never met a business that doesn't need marketing. And the more you understand that, I always say that I'll stop advertising the day McDonald's does. And we all know who they are, and they're still one of the number one spenders on all forms of advertising, yet they're one of the top businesses in the world. So I'll stop marketing when they do, and I'll stop selling when they do. And that's really the key things that I understand. And lack of creativity and a creative ability to work with people in their team to create assets, i.e. video assets, that you can push out. Most advertising fails because the messaging is bad and the budget's not enough. One good video ad with the right amount of budget could completely change your business if you get it right. So they're the main things. And I was really lucky because I got to do the advertising for companies, some I can't name under NDA, but the top companies in the world, and some of the worst companies in the world. And it was great on both spectrums because I was able to see what not to do by watching the crap companies and watching what to do with the good ones. And the great business owners just understood if they see ROI on a specific ad, it might be a Google ad, a YouTube ad, a social media ad, a TV ad, whatever they did, they would just double down. If they got good ROI, they would just keep maximizing that ad until it stopped. And their businesses would just scale unbelievably. And then there was just the crap business owners that would spend £1,000 a month. And no matter, even if they got a 50x return, the next month they'd spend £1,000. And it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. I saw one guy getting a 47 times return on ad spend, and then he spent the same budget next month. And I just don't want to work with people like that because they are the ones saying the economy's bad and all of this stuff. When your mindset about scaling and business is wrong, really. And I think one of my good abilities is I don't give tacit approval. If I feel you're doing something wrong or you should be doing something, I'll just say it. And I've made a lot more enemies than friends by doing so. But actually, I think I've helped a lot of people that they might walk away and say that I'm a prick. But actually, at night when they're going to sleep, if they're thinking he could be right and I might try that, and it changes their business and their financial wealth, I've done my job.
What about social media? What would you say are the most important platforms to be on right now? And what's your advice on what people should be doing on social media?
It's changing so quickly, and AI is just blowing my friggin' mind out of my head at the moment. And I just don't know where that ends up over the next couple of years, but it's going to be exciting and we need to be on it. And my experience, the businesses and the business owners that are the early adopters are the ones that see the best success. I'll give you an example. When TikTok came out, it was obvious that was going to be successful. The people who got on TikTok first, when social media platforms start, the people who get on it, they just flood them with followers, likes, engagement, because they need the platform to be successful. Once it's successful, and by just nature of having a lot of people on there, it's harder to get likes, follows, engagement the more people are on there, and when they don't need it, then they need advertising revenue. So you've got to pay to play. So when things start, the quicker you get on there, the better you'll be on that platform longer term.
Would you say there's one right now that's like an early adopter that we need to be on that not many people are aware of?
Well, it was TikTok, but now we're all aware of it. This time last year, it was TikTok. And 2 years before that, it was Instagram. And there will be another one really quickly. Right now, we're in the absolute eye of the TikTok storm. And I'm not on there as an individual, but my businesses are. And it is going to be powerful for a few more years to come, and then it will move on to something else. Facebook is dead in the water, as far as I can see. Instagram's flying, WhatsApp is flying, and YouTube will always fly because it's the second biggest search engine in the world. A lot of kids, if you've got kids and watch your kids, watch them with YouTube, and they tell us where things are moving. I can see a lot of people nodding on that one. It's crazy watching kids with YouTube and TikTok and Snapchat. So it's depending on your product, but I think things are heavily headed towards video, and you must be on these platforms for your business to be successful.
Great to hear. So with regards to your experience in business, I'm interested, if you can think of a time, was there a day that you would consider one of the hardest days in business? And if so, what was it? How, like, what did you learn from it, and how did you deal with it?
Cool. I can give you a lot of hard days. Anyone who started a business, those first 2 years, those first 18 months, every day felt like the worst day for the first 2 years, like just getting off the ground. When you go to say, oh, we need terms and conditions, there isn't any. We've got to make them. Oh, we need a contract. We don't have contracts. We've got to make them. That's really difficult. So starting was really hard. I've been to court. Gosh, I'm like the Michael Jordan of the high court here. I've been, I think, 22 times, and I've won 22 times.
Wow.
So I'm good in the court. I'm a master of small claims and of the high court here. And a lot of that is me taking people to court, issuing proceedings against other people, sometimes being proceedings issued against me. But I don't view court as a scary thing. Being litigious is a business tool, and using the courts for your businesses is very important. You've got to understand how to play the system. But some of the hardest days and the best came through the sales process. When you go to sell your business, and by the way, every business owner's goal should be to sell their business. It has to be, because you will exit your business, and we don't often think or talk about this, but you will exit your business through one of three things. You will die. Okay, we all are going to die. And you don't want to leave your kids or your spouse an absolute nightmare. You will go broke, or you'll sell. They're the only three options to exit a business. So you might as well make it the good one. You want to be working towards every day selling your business, and you do that by making yourself redundant in your business, doing less and less by hiring other people and systems to create that ability for you to do less. And if you do that right, the value of your business goes up, and you'll be able to sell it. Then you can either go start another one that does the same thing, do something else, or retire on the money that you made. But your goal should always be to working towards the sale of your business. And if you do that, you by nature create a better business. And the due diligence process to sell is fucking hard. It is so hard, because they want to come in, and their goal in due diligence, someone buying your business, is to get the price down, and your goal is to get it up. And that negotiation is savage. And most people walk away from the table on average 3 to 7 times each. And that's why a lot of sales don't go through. 95% of businesses fail. Only 5% actually ever sell. And that's very, very small, because we're talking 5% of the 5% that survive. So we're small numbers that actually go on to sell. But if you can start a business and survive the first 2 years, then go on and sell it, you're in the air of very few entrepreneurs. And consulting, speaking, all of these things becomes a huge possibility. And going and doing it the second time is a lot easier as well, I hope.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'm just gonna now do a couple of quick fire-ish questions because I'm mindful of the time and I want to make some time for our members Q&A. So, first one is, what would you say is the best advice you've ever received in your life, and why?
I've received a lot of good advice in my this too shall pass. Nothing that is happening now, good or bad, will be here forever. So when good things come, just take them as good things. When bad things come, know that they'll pass. And I've had times in my life where I've been making loads of money, been a bit famous from the telly, and I've had loads of time where I've had no money and I've been on my ass. And it all keeps moving forward. And remembering that's helped me a lot, particularly on the dark days. And that's probably the best advice I've ever had.
Great. So, flip to that question. What's some of the worst advice that you've heard, and why?
Money's not important. I don't know. I've never been told that money's not important or buys happiness from a rich person, believe it or not. Now, what I will say is there is more to life than money. There's absolutely more to life than money. Your children, your health, your happiness are all very, very important. But if your mum gets stage 4 cancer, you want to have money. If something happens in your life and the time and things are up against you, you need resources. You cannot save yourself or other people. It's like on the plane when they give you that demonstration at the start and they say, put your mask on before you assist others. Making money is exactly the same. Get your financial health under control, then go and donate loads of money to your charity. Go and buy things for your family, buy your mum a house, do things for your kids, put them in the best school, whatever it might be. Money enables all of those things. And yes, it's not the most important thing, but I've never paid my power bill here with Zen.
Have you tried though, Matt?
I've tried, let me tell you, and green juices and all of this and happiness. For some reason, Eon don't accept any of those things yet. The only thing they expect is pound sterling. So you need money, and as you make it, it gets easier to make. And as you make more, you can look after more people. And actually, I feel it's my obligation to make loads of money to help loads of other people. And it's people come up and say to me, well, there's more to life and all of this stuff. Well, that's their insecurities bringing it out on me. I'm pretty bloody happy. And it may not be important to you, but you shouldn't tell people go and impose your beliefs on them. If it's important to them, if they want to be poor, I don't go up to them and say, yeah, great, be poor. I just shut up and get on living my goals and my dreams. And they haven't got a right to come and tell me that there's more to life than money. They're just pissed off that I've got more money than them. And I kind of want to say that to them. Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't said it. I imagine
Me
you have.
Me too, actually, as I was just saying that, really. I was like, that's a pretty good bloody answer.
Okay, and as this is the Success School podcast, a big sort of ethos behind this is the idea that a lot in traditional education is not equipping us to genuinely be successful in life. So based on that and based on your life so far, everything you've learned, both as a parent, business owner, partner, all these things, if you was to share 3 key lessons that you feel school do not teach people, but in knowing it's going to set you up to have a successful life, what would you say are the main 3 lessons?
How to start a business, how to buy a business, and how to leverage debt. And number 3, the most important, you cannot get rich using your own money. You have to get rich using other people's money or the bank's money. We get taught by mainly our parents and school that debt is bad. Having credit cards is bad. Going and using money, other people's money is bad because you have to pay it back. You cannot get rich with your own money because you don't have enough of it. Even rich people don't have enough of their own money to go and get rich. It's a lot easier, but it's still hard. They use their money to go and get a lot more of other people's money. If you meet any rich person, they are all got mortgages, loans up to the eyeballs because they've figured out how to use debt to create wealth for them. If you look at really successful footballers, singers, stars, they've all got these super duper financial planners. All of them have mortgages on their house. None of them own their houses outright. People say to me, and this is the big indicator. People come up to me at talks and stuff, and they say, "Well, I own my house." Oh my gosh! I just like, oh, well, okay, and what does that mean? Like, and they say, well, I've paid off my house. I've paid off my mortgage. I own my house. You are very possibly an idiot, and I cannot help you. Imagine if you then go and take a mortgage out on your house, release that 500, 600, 700, 800,000 pounds back to yourself. What could you do with 800,000 pounds? You could buy 8 more houses. You could buy 8 businesses. There's so many things you could do with 800. And they're like, oh yeah, but I don't like having debt. Well, then you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur. You've got to understand how debt works and how money works, because people who understand debt are all really successful and financially free.
Mark, at the beginning, before we hit record, you set a target to make this one of the best podcasts. And I'm not just saying this. This has been phenomenal. I cannot believe how quick the time has gone. I can tell just judging by people's faces that are here with us live that they are absolutely loving this. Mark, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this. I know that when this goes out as well, lots of people get a lot of value from this.
Thank you.
Just before we finish and head over to the Q&A, if people don't already follow you and want to know more about you, your services, where can people check you out?
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. There's probably people on here who own their own house who want to kill me right now. And that's fine too. My name is Mark Wright. You can look me up on any social media, mainly on Twitter and Instagram. I come up #1 with a blue tick, all of that sort of juicy stuff. Follow me for more business insight. And if you'd like to come to one of my talks, I'd love to see you there. And please come and introduce yourself. And I hope some stuff in here has been super duper valuable, and you've got some questions for me as well.
Great. Just to finish the main podcast, final question I ask all our guests. Mark, what is your personal definition of success?
Being happy as much as possible and improving by 1% every day.
Mark Wright, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know I said I wasn't going to bang on about everything that's inside the membership, and that's true. I didn't lie to you. I'm not going to tell you everything because it's free to join. Go over there, find out for yourself. But one thing I do want to make sure you're aware of is pretty much almost every guest that you listen to on this podcast also agrees to do a further around about 30 minutes worth of the chat that is only available to the members only. Because what we do is we invite our members to listen to a lot of these podcasts being recorded live. And then once we've finished, they stay on the live on Zoom where they can actually ask questions to the guest speaker and get more personalized, bespoke answers. Now, if you want to be on the upcoming episodes, if you want to meet these guests and put your question to them, and if you also want to right now start to listen to all the past few years worth of these conversations, head on over to the link in the show notes, start your free trial today. And just to let you know as well, it's less than £5 a week after your free trial ends. So it's not going to cost you a lot of money, even if you want to stay long term. Click that link, start your trial, go listen to the content, get your invite to come and join us on all future podcast recordings. And I look forward to seeing you in our amazing, incredible community of people in the membership area. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode today, and I'll see you next time.